Hello, and welcome to this episode of Lights Out, your virtual campfire. I'm your hostess with the mostest ghosties, Sylvia Shults. After a long, rough winter, spring is finally here. Let's go for a walk in the woods to celebrate. Grab a water bottle and some good shoes, and let's go. Lights out. For centuries, forests have been home to the unknown. Even in our modern era of electric lights that can turn midnight into midday, the woods are still dark and spooky. And even in the middle of an Illinois cornfield, a stand of forest can still hold enough mystery to pique our curiosity. Effland Woods is a big patch of greenery in Fulton County. In his book Illinois Road Guide to Haunted Locations, Chad Lewis gives excellent directions on how to find this haunted chunk of wilderness. Effland Woods is located just outside the small town of Vermont. Take Main Street out of town. This becomes County Road 13. Turn left on Quarter Road and follow this for approximately 1 mile. You will see a road, E2400, that turns to your right. Effland Woods is on your left. The forest got its name from the Effland family, who owned and farmed the land long ago. It's been half a century since the family lived in the area. So here's the legend. Many years ago, a small dirt road ran through these woods, making a convenient path for travelers. Some people were killed in an accident on that road, and ever since then, the victims have haunted the area. Manifestations include unexplained colored balls of light that hover and move through the woods on dark nights, and strange whistling noises and voices of low conversation that follow those who walk through the woods. One of the most intriguing stories, although there really are no details to speak of, involves a teenage boy who went out into the woods to hunt raccoon. He returned home several hours later, badly shaken by something that happened out there. When his mom asked him what was wrong, he refused to tell her anything. There are few things that frustrate me more than someone who has a paranormal experience, especially in broad daylight, and then won't cough up the details. So I decided to take a drive out to the country and experience Effland Woods for myself. My friend and I drove out to the woods on a sunny day in mid-April. I suppose if we really were looking for a terrifying experience, we should have gone on a stormy October night. It was a gorgeous spring day in rural Illinois. Birds were singing, cows were grazing placidly in the field across from the woods. We pulled over, and I took another look at the directions. I think this is it. Spring peepers trilled cheerfully from a small puddle in the ditch, loud enough to be heard over the running engine. We shut off the engine and got out of the truck. There weren't any no trespassing signs, but the woods are obviously part of someone's property. Next to the woods, a field where stiff stalks of last year's corn still stood, drank in the spring sunshine. I waved a cloud of midges away and looked longingly at the woods. We couldn't see a path into the woods. There wasn't even a good place to park. From the road, the only sign of a possible track through the trees was a grassy four-wheeler path between the woods and the plowed field. "I don't see a path," I muttered, and my friend said, "Well, it doesn't really matter because I know you weren't going to trespass anyway." "Who says? I didn't see any no trespassing signs, and yes, I looked." "You grew up in the city, right?" "Well, the suburbs, yeah." "I've lived in the country most of my life, and farmers out here, they're well within their rights to shoot you if they find you wandering on their land." So I reluctantly let myself be talked out of a stroll through the haunted woods. Now, I'm not here to debunk this particular haunting. I wanted to stroll through the woods to see if some invisible something would follow me between the trees. I know people have had experiences in these woods. and I'm sure they can be quite unnerving at night. But I have to say that nothing in those woods set off our tingle senses that day. We ended up driving around the wooded area. You can see that the terrain is not something you'd want to go bushwhacking through in the daytime, much less in the black of night. It looked like a lot of scrubby underbrush, thorns, and ticks. I did find 2 deer skeletons in the ditch, which were most likely roadkill. So, for the gruesome-minded among you, there you go. I hope that made you happy. If you do decide to visit Effland Woods yourself, be warned about 2 things. First, do be aware that it is private property. There's really no good way to access the foresty bit unless you walk across some farmer's field, and there is absolutely no place to park. And if you go on a bright sunny spring day and listen to the tweets of a flicker and the trills of a spring peeper, prepare to be underwhelmed by dread. In the next episode, we'll visit Dole Mansion. This beautiful home has gorgeous architecture, fascinating art, loads of history, and of course, it's got a ghost or 2. Join me for a flashlight tour of a spooky, wonderful building when we go lights out.